So these elementary row transformations that you want to do, of course, it's possible to do it explicitly in a matrix. You can always, so if you have some matrix A in your program whose elements you're writing as Aij, then it's always possible to say, okay, I will multiply the I through by 5. So for j in range 0 to 3, you say Aij goes to Aij times 5, something like that. So it's possible to do it explicitly like that, but it's actually a more elegant method of doing these row transformations, whether it's interchanging or whether it's multiplying by a scalar or some more complicated operation. It's possible to do this purely using matrix multiplication. So let's talk about that a little bit. So we have what are called elementary matrices. So the first elementary matrix does the job of interchanging two rows, interchanging, let's say, ith and jth row. So you have a matrix A, you want to interchange the ith and jth row. What you do is you make use of a matrix called Tij. Ij are the two rows which need to be interchanged. And this looks as follows. This has ones along, so think of it just as the identity matrix. So you would have just ones everywhere and then zeros everywhere else. Instead, what you will do is in the ith and the jth row, but no thank you. So in the ith and the jth row, you will just interchange. So if this is the I and this is the ith row and this is the jth row, then basically you will put the ones over here and zeros here, and then of course zeros everywhere. So in the ij and the ji position, you will end up putting ones, and everywhere else you will put zeros. So check that if if you multiply Tij with a matrix with a matrix A, then this just gives you A with the ith and the jth rows interchanged. So if I want to multiply I and j, if I want to interchange I and j, I don't have to explicitly do it in the code by going inside the matrix and interchanging. I just take the matrix and I multiply it with Tij. That does the job of interchanging. Now some properties of this matrix Tij. Tij inverse you can calculate is just Tij. The second thing that you will observe is determinant of this matrix Tij is -1. This follows from the fact that if you have, so if you interchange two rows in a matrix, then its determinant changes sign. And this matrix is just the identity matrix with two rows interchanged. So this is the identity matrix, except that this row and this row have been interchanged. So I have put this over here and this over here. So it's an identity whose determinant is 1 with one interchange of rows, so that introduces a minus sign. So determinant of this is -1. What this means is that determinant of Tij times A is, so determinant of AB is determinant of A times determinant of B. That's a theorem in linear algebra. So determinant of this is just minus times determinant of A. So these are the properties of this matrix Tij. So here's how you would multiply, you would interchange two rows using just matrix multiplication. The second elementary transformation that we had was to interchange multiply one row by some constant k. So suppose I want to multiply the ith row by some constant k. Then for this, I can define a matrix Bi as a function of k. This is once again the identity matrix zeros everywhere, except that in the kth row, in the ith row, I will put the number k. So this k over here is your aii element, and all the other diagonal elements are 1 as always, and all the non-diagonal elements are 0 as always. So if you do this, dik multiplied by any matrix A, you will notice that this is the same as A, but with ith row multiplied by k. So you can work it out with any example matrix or any general matrix with elements aij. How would you do that? So dik is just the identity matrix. Are you familiar with the, well, so the mnth element of this matrix is just the Kronecker delta, except that when k is equal to, except when m and n are both equal to I, then you have a k instead of having 1 over there. So how would I write this? Yes, this is 1 everywhere, but I want to add another k minus 1 when m and n are both equal to I. Yeah, this will work. No, this is too complicated. Let's not do it like this. So just consider this product dik times A. Now this is a matrix multiplication. So I hope you have seen this in your linear algebra course, that if I want to write, so if C is equal to AB, then the elements of C, Cij, are written as Aik Bkj, the sum over k. This is basic definition of matrix multiplication, where you take every row of A and you multiply it with every column of B. So first row, first column, second row, second column, third row, third column, and so on. That's why this k is common, and then you're summing over all the k's like that. So this is the basic definition of matrix multiplication, written component wise. So same way, if I am interested in writing this matrix multiplication over here, so if I want to write, let's say, the mnth component of this, then this is just dik m pth component times a pnth component sum over p. But because dik is a diagonal matrix, m and p always have to be equal. There's no other way out. So this is just dik p p a p n, or why don't I write it in terms of m, because there's m on the left hand side. So p has become equal to m. Now you will notice that as long as m is not equal to I, this I throw over here is special, everything else is 1. So when m is not equal to I, then this product is just, then dik mm is just 1 times amn, which is amn. But when m is equal to I, then this becomes k times amn. So the mth row gets multiplied by k. So that is what this particular, not the m, the ith row. So since m is equal to I, this is k times ain. So your ith row gets multiplied by a factor of k. All the other rows remain exactly as they are. So that's what this matrix achieves. It makes sure when you multiply dik with any matrix A, it makes sure that in that matrix A, the ith row gets multiplied by the constant k. And let us look at some properties of this matrix. Sorry for this ugly board work. What is the inverse of dik? This matrix inverse, it's straightforward to see. It is just di of 1 over k. Of course, this is provided k is not 0, but that's okay. I don't think there's ever a reason to multiply an entire row by 0. That's just losing information. So k is never 0 for all practical purposes, and this is the inverse of this matrix. And what is the determinant of dik? This is just equal to k, or as an implication, determinant of dik times a is just k times determinant of a. So why are we bothering about inverses and determinants for these matrices? We'll come to it. They will play an important role in doing our matrix manipulation. So that's where it will be important for us to know how to take the inverse and what is the determinant. So these are two of the elementary row transformations. We've done interchanging and we've done scalar multiplication. The third one is where row I goes to row I plus m times row j. So in order to implement this, I'm going to define a matrix Lij of m. So in this, you start off with the identity matrix comprising of all ones. Everything on top of it in the upper triangle, you make it 0. And then over here in the ijth element, you put an m. I notice over here I put an a. This is not supposed to be a. This is supposed to be d I k I I. Sorry. So in this matrix, there's one element which is m in the ijth position, and everything else is all the diagonals are all 1, and then whatever is left, all the remaining off diagonal elements, these are all 0. And I will not work it out. Should I? No, it's okay. Homework. You work it out yourself. If I take Lij m and operate it on the matrix A, then you will see that this is just the matrix A where row I goes to row I plus m times row j. So this matrix Lij m does the job of doing I plus m times j. What are the properties of this fellow? So if I take Lij m inverse, this is Lij of minus m. You can work it out and see. And determinant of this matrix is just 1. So operating this on a matrix M, on a matrix A, does not really change the determinant of the matrix at all. Okay, very good. So what have we done? We have written down for the 3 elementary row transformations that we want to use in our Gaussian elimination method. We have written down matrices which, if you pre-multiply with your matrix A, will do the job for you. So now with these 3 matrices, we are ready to solve any system of linear equations. So suppose we have a system of linear equations given by Ax equals V. So now you go back to your algorithm, which we have written over here. Check if a11 is 0. If it is 0, then you do some scalar multiplication, you do some interchanging, you do some a1 plus rho 1 is rho 2 is rho 2 plus some constant times rho 1 and so on. So all these kinds of row transformations you want to do, all you need to do is keep multiplying those relevant matrices to A. So first step, suppose you want to do some scalar multiplication, and suppose I call that matrix L1. So first you multiply L1 on both sides from the left. Then let's say you want to do some uh, uh, rho 1 goes to rho 1 plus t times rho 2 kind of thing. Let that be represented by some other matrix L2. So L2 L1 AX is L2 L1V and so on. So for each of those elementary row transformations that you wanted to do, you multiply it by the corresponding elementary matrix L1, L2 and so on. So in the end you end up with Ln L3 L2 L1 AX is Ln L3 L2 L1 V. So your entire complicated process of doing these row transformations has just boiled down to doing a set of matrix multiplications. And if you look at the NumPy package in Python, then it gives you a ready-made way to multiply matrices. So all you need to do is to construct these matrices. You can write a function for constructing each of these three special elementary matrices, and then all you have to do is keep multiplying one by one all of these to your original matrix A. So having done this, uh, so one way is so remember we had two ways, no? Either you can reduce your A to an upper triangular form, or you can reduce your A to the identity matrix. So let's look at both of them one by one. So suppose you have reduced it to the identity matrix, so then you just get I times X, and this entire thing has become some V double prime as we had written. So in the end you just get X is V double prime, and you have managed to solve your system of equations. The other way, where you do Ln to L2 L1 AX is Ln to L2 L1V, where this has become some upper triangular form. Let's call it U. U is upper triangular. Times X, this entire thing, let's call it some V prime. Now, it turns out that if remember that you know what L1 what these elementary matrices look like, no? Like they will always be of this form or of this form or of this form. Turns out that if you just consider their product L1, I should do it in the reverse order, L1 inverse, L2 inverse and so on, Ln inverse. This matrix is always going to be lower triangular. So let's call this product equal to L. And then you will notice that if I take LU, what is LU? LU is L1 inverse, L2 inverse, blah blah blah, Ln inverse. And U is Ln blah blah blah, L2 L1A. So Ln inverse Ln becomes identity. Then the next one, n minus 1, these will also become identity. L2 inverse L2 becomes identity. L1 inverse L1 becomes identity. In the end, you are just left with A. So we've written the matrix A as a product of a lower triangular matrix and an upper triangular matrix. This is always possible. You can always decompose your matrix A into a lower triangular and an upper triangular. So this breaking up of the matrix A is called the LU decomposition of a matrix. And the equation that we are trying to solve the matrix AX equal to V. So I can write that as LUX equal to V. So how do I solve this now? I know what my L matrix is and I know what my U matrix is. So if I call this, I have already used V prime and everything. Let's call this P. So this is basically the matrix LP equal to V. I know what my L is. I know what my V is. I can do back substitutions and find V. Find P. But I know that P was just UX. So I know U, I know P. So now I can find X from back substitution. So this is a common method of solving multiple linear algebraic equations simultaneously using linear algebra. So you take a matrix A, you split it into a lower triangular matrix L and an upper triangular matrix U. So this is called the LU decomposition. Once you've done the LU decomposition, it's straightforward. Just by doing back calculation, you can find out what is your matrix X. This entire procedure, you don't even have to explicitly write it down in Python. Already, there is a module for linear algebra in NumPy, and you can use that. So you can say from numpy.lineal, you can import. Can you read this? Probably not. From numpy.lineal, you can import something called solve. And what this solve does is it solves a system of linear equations for you. You can look up the documentation online. And the way it solves these linear equations is by using this LU decomposition. So in general, LU decomposition is a very strong method and it's a very common way of implementing solutions of simultaneous linear equations. So by the way, over here in constructing L, we made use of the inverses of all of these matrices. So this is why we were concerned earlier as to if you have these elementary matrices, L1, L2 and so on, how do you invert them? So this is where the information goes. You don't have to sit and actually invert them by hand. It's very straightforward. If you know what this matrix looks like, then you know what its inverse also looks like. So hence that inversion was important. Next thing we want to do is we want to calculate determinant of a matrix. So far we are trying to solve linear equations simultaneously. So how do you calculate determinant of matrix A? Same way. You take your matrix A and you apply to it a series of elementary row transformations such that your matrix A reduces to identity. So you are applying a bunch of row transformations Ln, L3, L2, L1A such that the end product is the identity matrix. Now having done this, you can take determinant of both sides and determinant of identity is just 1. So on the left hand side you have determinant of Ln, determinant of 2, determinant L1, determinant A equals 1. Now all of these numbers you know, because previously when we were talking about these matrices we were also concerned about what each of their determinants is. Where was I? So here this one's determinant is -1, this one's determinant is k, and so on. So using that fact, you know the determinants of all of these, and you know that the right hand side is going to be 1. So from this, it is straightforward to calculate what determinant of A should be. So that's how you calculate the determinant. The next problem is how to calculate inverse of a matrix. So what do we mean by inverse of a matrix? So I want to find the matrix X which satisfies A times X equals identity. You might have already guessed now with the help of the elementary row transformations what we need to do. Once again, from the left, we will keep multiplying by elementary row transformations such that your matrix A becomes identity. So if I do Ln, L2, L1, Ax, which is Ln, L2, L1 identity, such that this entire thing becomes I times X, and this entire thing, let's call it some matrix B. So then basically you have found X equal to B. So, and X is your A inverse. So A inverse is basically B. So by multiplying this, performing this series of elementary row transformations, we have made sure that on the left hand side we get identity, and automatically whatever you have on the right hand side becomes the inverse of this matrix.